Welcome to Voices of Victory, where we celebrate the power of purpose, passion, and the gifts that you feel from your journey. I'm your host, Tanir, and this space is all about embracing the unique talents we've been giving, understanding them, and using them to walk boldly into our destiny. Today, we have an incredible guest with us, you guys. I'm so excited that she's here. Okay, I'm going to have her introduce herself and share a little bit about her journey with us.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for having me. I am Coach Lee. I'm a criminal defense attorney by day, but productivity and accountability coach, like I like to say throughout. I'm all about empowering people, but especially women, and especially those women in corporate, to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves as they pursue their goals, their purpose, their life passions, while still maintaining their current responsibilities, but without the stress and without the overwhelm. Because as people, but especially as women, we play so many roles in our lives that we often neglect ourselves and put ourselves last at the expense of helping and being there for other people. So I'm all about pouring back into women and helping them to put them first, because in putting yourself first, in all honesty, you give yourself more space and freedom to be there and do more for others, and you won't feel as guilty or potentially as nagging about doing so.
Yes. Yes. I love that. So many people struggle with understanding their purpose, Lee. What helps you connect your passion to your purpose?
I think it's a matter of time. Time is the is your best friend. Because if I look back and think about, like, coaching, to me, if you think about coaching, like, part of coaching is teaching.
Hmm.
And from the time that I was little, like when I first decided, like my first career, I wanted to be a teacher. And then that was up until about middle school. And then in middle school, I was like, no, I want to be an attorney. And then I backed out of being an attorney for like a year because I was like, I knew I wanted to do criminal defense. And I was like, well, what happens when I have to represent someone who's charged with murder? But then I realized, realistically, that's not what you're going to do when you first start out. You're going to move through the ranks and get there. Given I'm at that point now, but that wasn't where I started at. And so then, but from there, like, I've always enjoyed like teaching. Like, I was a person who used to line my teddy bears up. I used to read to them and talk to them and like play school.
Right.
And some people might be like, well, how do you go from criminal defense attorney to coaching? And in all honesty, to me, it still feels like teaching in some regard, because I have to teach my clients about what to expect with the criminal process, what to expect as they go through it. Some of them have been in trouble before, some of them haven't. So going through and teaching them through the process and breaking it down and explaining to them. And similar to criminal defense work and similar to coaching, like, I don't choose my clients. So I have to take the problems that are given to me and figure out a way to make a solution out of them. And so I think when it comes to like finding your passion and finding your purpose, it's about kind of going back to that childhood, going back to your roots and figuring out what was that you enjoyed as a child, and see
Mhm.
how that can be brought into your present day life. It might not manifest itself in the same way that it did then, i.e., teaching specifically like my teddy bears at that point, to what it is that you do now and how that passion and that purpose can combine. Because I think that sometimes you can have a passion, but you can have a purpose, and they might be two different things, but they might also overlap.
Awesome. So, how did you get past the doubt or fear to fully embrace your gifts? Because, sometimes moving forward and working on your goals, you can self sabotage yourself.
For me, it was the starting of my business. Like, me talking and me coaching has been something that I've always done. I'm always like the go-to friend of like, hey, I'm having this issue, I'm having this struggle. Like, talk me through it, work me through it, walk me through it. And like, I've always been able and been that person for people, friends, coworkers. Like, I'm the person at work where they like, somebody new started, go to her, let her help you get organized. Like, she can get you organized. Like, I've always been that person. But the point of people saying like, you're motivating, you're encouraging, you should be a coach, I always was like, no, like, I'm an attorney, I love what I do. Who has time to be a coach? I don't want to be a coach, because realistically, I knew that I don't have to give up law to be a coach. Yes, there are people, plenty of people who are full-time entrepreneurs, but it's not a requirement. So my first self-sabotaging thing was that, like, I can't do this because I'm doing something else. Like,
Mm.
you can do more than one thing in life. Just like I was talking about passions and purpose. They can be, like, I'm passionate about law. I'm also passionate about coaching, but coaching might be more of my purpose fully than law, even though I'm passionate about it and don't want to give it up. And so for
Right.
me, it was going into and going through the pandemic, because my I don't have time excuse became truly a like, oh, you don't have time? Let me just shut the world down real quick. What you gonna do now? And literally, we were like a week into the pandemic, and thankfully, I didn't lose my job or anything, but because of being home, we not doing trial, we not doing court. It was like, hey, long as you log on, get your work done. We don't need you necessarily to be logged on for 8 hours. However long it takes you to get your work done, log on, get your work done. Because I had no distractions every day come lunchtime or so. I'm like, well, I feel like I'm done with work for the day. Like, what now? And literally, I promise you, we were a week, maybe a week and a half into the pandemic, and those thoughts started coming back to me. You should be a coach. You should be a coach. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. Not that you have to have a certification for coaching, but for me, that's the type of person that I am. I like knowledge. I like education.
Yes.
So I started Googling and looking it up, started reading about it, started looking it up, found a coaching program or tested out a couple. And then the one that I ultimately ended up going through, I made it halfway through that first video, which was all of 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. I see now. And so to further the aspect of like letting go and like working past that self-sabotage, like as I was going through the coaching program and working on, getting the LLC, getting the website, things like that, I reached out to a couple of my friends that was like, hey, I'm looking to get into coaching and like, take it seriously and do it as a business. Basically, can I coach you for free? Like I know we've worked on some stuff in the past, but can we do it like in a formal setting? You give me critiques on where it is that I can do better, what it is that I can improve, and I'll do it for free. We were already kind of doing it. Let's formalize it and make it into official thing, and doing that and
Right.
getting the feedback from them and seeing their life change from the things that I was helping them with, as well as them not having too much feedback on how I should change and structure stuff, was like, okay, you must be
Right.
on the right path. Keep going.
Yes, I love that. I feel the energy over here. I'm motivated now.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck, Lee?
Um, Stuck where? In general or in a specific area?
Just feeling like they're stuck. They have a gift but unsure how to use it.
Test it out. Like just try. So in just start. Basically, the long and short of it is just start, but find a way to test it out. Like you don't have to fully commit to it. You don't have to go about trying to figure out if you have this gift by investing hundreds and thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to operate
Right.
or to move in the gift. Like when it comes to owning a business, like you can start out small. You can reach out to your friends. Like, okay, if your gift is, let's say it's art, you think you're good at painting or doing art. Can you start making Christmas gifts or birthday gifts for all your friends and your family and use your art, but also you're giving them a gift? And then maybe, they start saying, oh, that's real good. Like, can I buy that? Can you make me one for someone else? Like, just put yourself out there. And there are a lot of ways that you can put yourself out there without costing yourself money. Like, yes, I get art that would cost you on the supply aspect, but like instead of
Mhm.
going full scale, like let me create a building for this. Looking for ways that you can volunteer in that field. Like, depending on what it is that you want to do, maybe you can reach out to people who are in that field and like internships. Back in the day when we were in school, community service was a thing. Internships, you had to get these volunteer hours to be able to graduate. See what's a way that you can get yourself out there and surround yourself with it. Networking is a big thing. Can you get yourself into
Yes.
the room where others are so you can hear what it is they do, hear what it is they say, hear maybe how they got started, and maybe in talking to them, you might confirm or deny that this is something that you truly are interested in. Sometimes we're interested in things from the outside, but then once we figure out the work or what's actually needed, you're like, oh, wait, that's not what it is I thought it was. How many people do you know that have gone to school for one degree or another, and somewhere through that process they changed degrees? And it wasn't because the classes
Right.
were hard. For some people it was that, but it was, I didn't think this is what it was. Like, what I thought biology was isn't what biology is, or whatever the degree or the major might be. So just get yourself that exposure and just start. Like, find the lowest common denominator or the lowest point of entry to get yourself out there and get that exposure, whether that be through you actively doing something, volunteering, or just getting yourself in the space and getting yourself in the
Right.
room.
I hope you guys are taking notes because she is definitely dropping a lot of gems. Hopefully, after this episode or during this episode, you guys feel motivated. You change your mindset, okay? And you put action into your words. I'm a firm believer of writing things down, okay?
Rebecca 2 and 2, right? The vision, make it
Yes.
plain.
So, how has walking in your purpose changed your life and the lives of those around you?
For me, a thing that I like to say is that I'm inspired to impact. So for me, seeing, it's like a proud parent, like seeing the light bulb moment click for a client, or even if they aren't a client, seeing the light bulb moment click for a friend or a family member when I'm explaining something or telling them something or giving them a suggestion, and them coming back to say, hey girl, I did that thing you told me to do. It worked. like, I feel less stressed out. I feel less overwhelmed. I've seen this change. I've been able to do this. I even passed it on to so and so, pass it on to a friend, pass it on to a family member. So for me, seeing the impact, seeing those light bulb moments, being told about a way that you have impacted someone else, and especially when it's someone that I don't know. One of my former coworkers told me how she used to show my videos to her kids. So when they're like, I don't want to do this, I don't have time, she would like literally just show them my videos. And I'm like, wait, you show my videos to kids? Like, not that they're not kid friendly, but like you showing, like, you as a parent are like, watch this video and listen to it and now go apply it. She's never worked with me like in terms of coaching relations. Like, we used to be co-workers. She used to be one of the secretaries at the firm, but having that type of impact to where you didn't have to necessarily spend money or invest money, but you heard what I said, you put it to use, or you found someone else that you thought they need to hear this and you shared it. And so then on the flip side, with clients, with those who've actually, invested the money and worked with me one-on-one, seeing their transformation and seeing their changes, how they're like, wait a minute, I'm not stressed out, I'm not overwhelmed, I do have time to do this. My husband has, seen the benefit of it. My kids have seen the benefit of it, because a lot of people that I work with, they're working late, they're bringing work home, they feel like they have no work-life balance. Maybe they have kids and they feel like, I'm not quote unquote a good mom because I feel like I'm always working and my kids don't see this side of me. But now for them to get home on time, do more stuff with the kids, and for the kids to reap the benefits, and the husband to even be like, okay, I see this change. But your work, corporate job isn't suffering as a result. So you can see that there was a way that you can do it all and you can feel fulfilled in each of the
Right.
areas of your life.
That's amazing, Lee. I'm gonna have to talk to you after this interview because
Girl.
what? So, have you ever had to pivot or refine how you use your gifts? How did you navigate that?
Yes, for me, it was, how they say niche down. When I first
Mhm.
started becoming a coach, like, I knew, I'm like, I don't want to be a life coach, given that's technically what I do, but like, I didn't want the title of life coach. And you get to choose your title. So for me, it was figuring out, like, what is it that people really struggle with, and then realizing that they struggle with scheduling, time management, things like that. So that's how I became productivity and accountability coach. But even within that, knowing that realistically, or I don't want to say realistically, knowing that everyone can benefit from it, but having to be
Yes.
willing to like hone in to say, I want to focus on women, or now even saying, I want to focus on corporate women, to be able to like to say that and know that even those outside of that might benefit. Like, I know before we started recording, you were talking about how when you were starting the podcast, you were trying
Yes.
to interview men and women, but really it was more so women that gravitated. You were open to both,
Yes.
but people who heard your message were like, I resonate with that. And it happened to be more women. So it was kind of the
Yes.
same thing of being willing to niche down, but to know that even at the same time of niching down, others can still benefit and others might hear it. Because I had one person reach out who was a male that was like, hey, I wanted to book a call, but do you help men as well? Like, I heard what you said. It really resonated. I was interested, but I wanted to make sure you work with men as well. And I'm like, I do. Like, I specialize in women, but I have served men as clients and they've been successful. One of the first people that I reached out to before I officially became a program was a male. So I had one male client and one female client that I worked with during that like beta phase. So for me, it was really being willing to niche down and know that I'm not for everybody, even if I want to be, and even though I feel like everybody can benefit from a little tweak or adjustment in their schedule, but being willing to be clear about saying, I help these people, and then if other people that are outside of that want the help, they'll still seek it out and they'll get the help.
I'm not for everybody, but I still want to help everybody, okay? I had to realize that too in my journey of podcasting. There's a lot of different personalities, and you're not for everybody. But wanting to help everybody says a lot about your character, okay?
Yes.
So, what role does faith or mindset play in allowing your gifts to flourish?
Well, you remember how I said that I said I didn't have time, and then God, I'm not gonna say God caused the pandemic for me. That I am important, but that's not why the
Yes.
pandemic happened. But in the midst of that pandemic, it allowing it to be a way that I grew. I grew individually. Like, coming into the pandemic was coming into me turning 30, and the mindset work that I had started doing before then in terms of personal development, it kicked up a notch because I had all this additional time that I was watching TV. I was reading the books. Well, let me say the negative stuff. I was watching the TV. I was doing the puzzles. I was scrolling the social media. But I was like, what more can I do? Like, I'm tired of Netflix. What else do y'all want me to watch? Like, I'm stuck in the
Right.
house. I'm tired of the news. So I went back to my books. Like, I was reading books. I was in the podcast. I started requesting more because though the library physically closed, they were like, we're not going to stop. I do books by mail. So they mail the books to me and I just got to drop them off. So they were like, we're going to continue this service, especially to promote social distancing. And I was like, okay, well, let me kick up the number of books that I'm requesting. Let me find some more podcasts to download. What online courses or trainings and stuff can I look into? So for
Right.
me, mindset is a big thing. And a thing that I like to say a lot is if you change your perspective, if you change your mindset, you'll change your life. So if you change the
Yes.
way that you look at things, so like I looked at the pandemic as a blessing. It allowed me to slow down, to have more time, to still make a benefit and, do work. I was able to honestly, in my opinion, I got more work done during the pandemic than in the office. Not because of the commute or anything like that, but I don't have coworkers coming by to talk. Yes, I don't have the phone ringing and me having to answer the phone. Like, yes, I still had to check my voicemails, but basically I was able to kind of choose when I was communicating with people as opposed to being
Right.
forced to on demand do it because I didn't have those distractions. Like I said, I felt like I was getting 8 hours of work done in 4 hours. I'm naturally a morning person. So by the time I would get done with my workout and stuff like that, I would just log onto the computer and come lunchtime, I was like, well, I think I've done everything on my to-do list that I wanted to get done for the day. And based off of what I can do, it's nothing else I really need to do. I would just leave the computer up, and if something came in, I might go ahead and do it. But I still made sure to
Right.
honor those 8 to 5 boundaries. And so mindset played a big role in that because it allowed me to see how much time that I did have and how can I use this time to benefit me. Now the faith aspect is because like I said, God was like, "Oh, you don't have time?" Oh, okay. Let me show you what you got and now you tell me if you do or don't have time. Because one of the big reasons that I said that I quote unquote didn't have time is because before the pandemic, I was officiating basketball, so refereeing basketball. So every day after work during basketball season, I was going to not elementary, some middle school or some high school to do a basketball game in one of 3 counties before I came home. So in a sense, I didn't really have time to start a coaching business because every day after work, I was going these places. Pandemic, the world shut down, schools went virtual, so they're not doing
Right.
sports. So that gave me the time. And then it was up to me to decide how do I want to use it. And then as the world slowly started opening up and things went back to quote unquote normal or the new normal at that time, and now, back we're pretty much back to the old normal. Um, Figuring out how as I reintegrated these things into my life, am I gonna stick with this or do I let it fall away? And at this point, it's a lifestyle. Like it ain't going nowhere. So
Yes. Wow. Oh, you are a woman of many hats. Okay, now we're many hats because what? You definitely didn't have no time. Netflix is like, okay, what's next after that? That is so real. So, is there any way that we can connect with you, Coach Lee?
yes, you can find me. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Clubhouse, Facebook at legally.me, which is LEGALLEE.me. I had to bring the criminal aspect into it. So I'm legally me everywhere.
Awesome. Everything that she just said, guys, will be linked in the description box if you want to connect with her. Okay. I truly appreciate you for being on this platform, Lee. It means a lot to me. Your story, I hope it resonates with someone who needs to hear the confirmation today. All right. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and journey with us today. I hope this conversation inspires someone out there to embrace their own gifts and step boldly into their purpose. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful stories to light. Until next time, keep walking in your victory. And bye bye.
Thank you for having me.